So one thing I forgot to cover is these are going to be DAW controllers. Starting next month, you're gonna be able to control Studio One with this. And then early next year, you'll have Mackie and Huey control to where I can control my Pro Tools and Logic and all that stuff.
Patch to it so you can just update it? Or?
Yeah, it's all always update your firmware on your consoles. We're constantly adding value, and especially if you go to get like a stage box or something like that, they have to have the same firmware build on it to be able to talk to each other.
I had a problem a long time ago, like when I first started in recording, where they stopped updating drivers for the stuff I bought, and that I'll never buy their products again.
Right.
I won't mention them, but I'll never buy their products again because
Understood.
they stopped updating them.
Yeah, I mean we
The actual DAW worked perfect.
yeah.
But they stopped updating the drivers.
Yeah,
so
always update your firmware because there's always things that we add, like, the original Studio Live 16 didn't have a 31-band graphic EQ in it when we shipped it, and then we added it later because we had ample DSP, so.
with no extra charge either?
No, it's all free, that's the whole point. So you just, it's like updating your phone, and all of a sudden it does all this other stuff. So just always update your firmware.
Well, big supporter.
I wouldn't necessarily say always update your software because you know how it goes. It's like you get a new operating system, you have your DAW that's working well on this system. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then there may be some bugs on that new operating system. So I typically wait about 6 months to update my operating system.
That's exactly what I was saying, to make sure that it's still going to function.
Yeah. So update your firmware. There's always cool things that we're adding. And even like little workflow things that we add. So y'all want to learn how to use this mixer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the deal? How y'all doing? Y'all came in a little later.
Happens.
I'm not letting y'all off easy. I asked everyone in here what they do and why they're here. So, what's your name?
My name is Kurt.
What's up, Kurt? How do you play music? You record?
Oh,
you
I am
run
into
sound?
live sound.
Okay.
And
Right on.
And I generally use a Mackie DL1608.
Okay.
Have
Cool.
extremely good luck with it.
Awesome.
But here to see
Awesome.
what this is all about.
Oh well, we're gonna show you. How about you, sir?
I'm Dan Swadley. I was a studio engineer for many years.
Uh huh.
And now I'm just retired, and I've used Studio One Pro in the basement.
Cool.
I'm going to be upgrading here pretty soon. So
Right on.
I thought I'd check it out.
Appreciate it. I like your jacket too. You look super cool.
My name's Dave. I'm a player and want to get into recording.
Cool. Well, hopefully we're gonna help you with that today. So, y'all want to learn how to use a console, right? Is that the deal? All right. If there's any room for, I don't know if you want to move in closer. People that want to, there's a little space right here that you can hang out. If there's anyone in the back. How about you, young man? You doing good? You doing all right? Appreciate you coming today, man. It's cool. Y'all want some USB jump drives? I got some little tchotchkes and stuff. You want a mouse pads and anything like that? I got some things. So when y'all go, just catch me. I'll get you taken care of. All right. So the Studio Live Series 3 console. So like I said before, and we got 32s and 24s here. So if y'all look at the back of the unit, you have 32 mic pre's or 24 mic pre's, plus another a talkback mic that you can actually route to the main. So if you had to eke out another channel, you actually could use that, and you can record it as well. Half the channels on any of our mixers are going to be combo connectors too. So if y'all look at the mixer, it's got 1/4-inch input as well as XLR. So that's for the recording purist or just someone that needs to send in 1/4-inch inputs. It goes straight to the analog to digital converter. So if I'm using my high-end, mic pre's or whatever, it's not going through our preamp. You can bypass our preamp totally. Or I can plug direct boxes into there, or I can plug keyboards or active basses. There is a 20 decibel boost on the board digitally if you need to turn it up. So if I'm using like a low output device, like an old synthesizer or something, I do have a little bit of digital boost that I can add to it on those 1/4-inch inputs. I've got my monitor outs, which is what is going to your HP4s. which to control that, you got your little monitor. That's yeah, you got a headphone amp. That's that monitor for like your, if you're in a studio, you'd send those to your, your studio monitors. And then you got a couple of stereo tape in and tape outs, which I have fader control over that as well. And I've got 2 stereo aux inputs as well that I can apply fat channel processing to, so that I can apply gate, compression, EQ to all those inputs. So if I needed to eke out a few more channels beyond the 32 mic pre's, I have some extra inputs there to get me there that I can add processing to. I have 16 on the 32. I have 16 flex mixes, which we talked about, plus another 4 subgroups. On the 24, I have just 16 flex mixes, and I can assign those however I want. Subgroups, matrix, any of that other auxes as well. So let's actually get our hands on the board, shall we? We're going to take a look, just so you guys familiarize yourselves with that. So main mix input, let's go there. So what did I say in the previous presentation? That always is going to bring you back 1-to-1. So I've got my inputs right here. But by the way, this is a 32-channel console. So even if you have a 24-channel console, you may only have 24 physical inputs. But if I hit this next button, I can page over, and everyone hit that next button because there's a couple of things in that next button. I've got my extra channels. So if I were to use like one of these rack mixers, I can go up to 32 channels. And I can control them from right here. But then I also have my effects returns as well. And I have my aux inputs that I told you guys about, right? And I have my tape in and my talk back. But there's also, so let's go main mix input. Let's go main mix input. Let's go to this bank right here. So in this bank, this is the split workflow. What's that?
Sounds like a fire alarm.
We're good? Oh, okay, cool. All right, we're all okay. So let's go to this bank right here and hit your aux inputs. So that's going to be, if I don't want to page over right here, I just hit my aux inputs and I have all that other stuff right here that we just looked at. So I've got my effects returns, I've got my stereo aux ins, I've got my tape ins, I got my talk back. Let's go to mix masters right here in the bank. So hit mix masters. That is my overall mix levels for a given aux or a subgroup or a matrix. We haven't labeled any of them other than, so they're all going to show up as auxes. And by the way, I can label this however I want. I can label all my inputs and all my outputs however I want.
So basically, like if you're running your monitor mix, you go right through there too.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're running your monitor mix, this is going to be your overall volume going to that aux mix, that physical output.
Excellent.
And then if you hit this next button, so you see them in banks of 8, right? So there's on the 32, there's 20 altogether. But page over, you see your aux mixes up to 16. Then you see your subgroups. And now you have your overall effects as well. We all finding that? How about in the back of the room? We good? We found that? All right. So that's kind of the bank. And then we'll get into DCA groups in a little bit because I'm going to show you guys how to set that up. So let's hit main mix input. We want to go back to a 1-to-1. We just want to see all of our channels. So I'm going to show you guys how to do an in-ear mix or a wedge mix or what have you. So, but let me show you guys something first. Select channel 1. So if you look at the screen over here, that gives me a snapshot of what is going on with that channel. I can see if there's EQ on it. I can, by the way, I can delay my inputs up to 85 milliseconds.
Why would you want to do that?
Maybe for broadcast or something like that.
All right, thank you.
You know, I can delay my outputs like 180 milliseconds. So in that case, if I'm in a mixed position that's like way far out from the stage, and I have speakers that are maybe in a balcony, I would want to delay those.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's how.
Sounds
So
great.
every
Everybody
output,
at the same time.
right? Every output I can delay up to 180 milliseconds, which is it's a pretty cool thing. So in this console, so when I go to the select button, I see that I have an EQ, a gate, and a compression, a limiter for every single channel. And that's on every channel. Everywhere you see a select button, I have that fat channel processing. So additionally, I have that on my outputs as well, but we're just going to focus on an input right now. So I'm selected on channel 1. So let's label some channels. And the way we do that is we go to this gear up at the top on the touchscreen, top left. Did everyone find it? So if I click channel name, just touch it, it should bring up a keyboard, right? So I can label it whatever I want. But I want you guys to use our labeling system. So I can name channels whatever I want. But if you use our labeling system, there's a cool thing that happens. So let's back out of there, just hit enter, and go to channel type right under it, right? And you should see some categories pop up. Everyone see that? So let's go to drums. So with this encoder in the middle, scroll over to drums and touch it, and it's going to spill out all the drums for that. We got that? How about you, sir? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So let's do, what's channel 1 usually? What, a kick? So let's do kick in. It's at the bottom. And then if I want to get below, I just hit this over here. Or the encoder. Hit the encoder, it's faster. So let's do kick in. Now select channel 2. Let's do the same thing. Hit drums. And do kick out. Right? Channels 1, kick in. Channel 2, kick out. We got that? Channel 3, let's do snare. So you just select channel 3 like I did, right? And then go to drums. And then let's find the snare. We're going to do snare top, right? No, we'll just do snare. We did kick in and kick out. That's enough. We'll just do snare. Channel 4, let's label. Let's do high tom. You on channel 4? We found high tom? Hi, Tom. Hi, Tom. Hi, Tom. So we there? So channel 5, let's do rack tom. Or whatever. Do whatever you want. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, I was just going to point out, I'm sure you get to it eventually, but you can also do all this stuff that you're doing on the console from the UC Surface software.
Absolutely. And it'll push globally. So, and that's actually a really slick way to do it.
Because if I'm on stage hooking up all my inputs, I don't have to run back to the mixer. I can actually do it on an iPad or
Absolutely. And it'll push globally. So if I'm doing it from an iPad and I have front of house control, which is control over everything, I can just do my labeling. I don't even have to be at the board. I could be on stage.
I do have a question. Does
Yes,
it
sir.
have its own integrated Wi-Fi where it puts out its signal? Or
You
does it
have,
connect it
I have it hooked up to this handy dandy device. I'm gonna be honest with
I
you.
got one of those too.
I'm gonna be honest. With our new rack mixers, we tried to put a Wi-Fi antenna on it, and I don't know if you've used any of the other products out there that have Wi-Fi antennas,
No.
but it's not good.
Okay.
Just wire it to a router. You wire it to a router, you can walk anywhere in that room. With the little antenna and stuff, there's just it's caveat city, and it's just not a good experience.
Well,
So
some
it's
of the
like,
venues you go to, they don't even have, well, it's becoming more common now, but they don't even have a Wi-Fi to tie into.
right? Yeah, you want to create your own network always
Okay.
with your wireless devices. You don't want anyone on it. You want to bring your own router. You jump on it with UC Surface, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So where are we at? I'm ADD, so y'all need to help me here. Let's go to channel 5. Let's do overhead, and then 6 we'll do overhead as well, and then 7. Let's get some guitars in there. So let's go back to our categories. So 7, select guitar, select electric, right? Channel 8, let's do Channel 8, let's make bass. And then channel 9, let's do keyboards. Channel 9 is keyboards. And just make it keys. Channel 10, let's do another keyboard, and let's do synth. Channel 11, let's do, so you see you have to touch, what if you want to use the encoder, you got to touch left or right. Y'all see that? So let's go to the category and let's make channel 11 a vocal. So go to vocals, and let's do lead vocals. And then channel 12, let's go vocals and do backup vocals. All right? So we'll have like 12 channels that we label. That's enough to kind of make my point. So y'all got that? We good? We got our little band set up with keyboard, synth, and all that?
Quick question, can you color code all your channels?
Well, of course you can.
Already then?
Well, and why don't we do that?
I mean, you're in labeling there. So
Why don't we do, so let's select channel 1 and then back out of this category. And right there, when you back out of the category, you're going to have this. So what do we want drums? What color? You're wearing a red shirt. Let's make it red.
there you go.
So red, that's going to be a channel color. Channel 2 is going to be red. Channel 3 is going to be red. Channel 4 is going to be red. Channel 5 is going to be red. Now, I don't know if you notice on my...
It doesn't change the little LCD.
It doesn't change the LCD. It changes this. But if I'm using my handy-dandy iPad,
Okay. There you go.
pretty cool. And I can change the colors from here as well, bidirectional. I can do whatever I want on this console right here from the iPad. That's the beauty of it. So let's go to channel 6. Let's make that one red. Let's go to channel 7. Make our guitars purple, like Prince. And then let's make our bass. What's a funky color?
Green.
There you go. And the keys, yellow. Why do I think of yellow with keys? I don't know.
Why not?
Caution.
Lead vocals. What's an arrogant color? What's the most arrogant color you can think of? Lead vocals. What is it? Pink? Okay, let's make it pink. Let's make it pink.
Well, if you had like bright pink, that would be great.
And what's backup? What should backup be? What color? Something that just blends in.
White.
All right. So there we go. So check out my iPad. I got all these colors right here on my inputs. All right. So let's go back to channel 1. Let's get and just select this input button right here in the master control. Select input. So did y'all do that? Everyone got input right here? So I'm in a situation where it's always quick. You always have to move quickly, and it's stressful. So if you're a church volunteer, it's really stressful. So one of the things that we have that's really cool is presets. And you'd be surprised how many digital consoles out there don't have presets. So I'm on channel 1, and I go to select my EQ. Let's go select our EQ. Right? And if you look at the top, the right of the screen on the touch screen, it says presets. Now, if you notice, it's only pulling up stuff, because I use that labeling system, it's only pulling up presets that are drum related. So instead of like, if you would have named it your own channel and not used our labeling system, it would just pulled up all. But you use our labeling system, it filters that. And I can even filter whether I want just the EQ or the gate or the compression. So I can say, I want the EQ, but I don't want gate. I just want EQ and compression. So go to kick 1 and hit recall. And that's, what's that? So select EQ, and then you got your presets. And then we could shut off one of these, gate, compression, EQ, and then you just hit recall. You hit recall to pull up the preset.
How do you know you're in the preset once you hit recall? What tells you the gate?
So look, so now you have an EQ curve.
Right.
So you didn't do that, right?
Right, you have no bands on there.
Right. So I go back to my EQ,
That's what it was,
right? And you just hit recall.
right?
And now you can see that it's not flat, it's not unity, there's a curve
just
on it.
visually.
Yeah, you can tell visually that there's a preset that's been pulled up. Does everyone have that? That's cool, right? So we're not going to do all the drums. We're just going to go right into electric guitar. Let's select channel 7, electric. And then let's do another preset. How much longer do I have? Okay. Okay. So yeah, go back to EQ, select channel 7. And find an electric guitar. And now let's go to keys, and then select your EQ. Yeah, so you select the category. This is actually new. This is new to me. You can select the category. So even if you named it, you can just select on the category on the left, and it'll just pull out that. So that's why you update your firmware. So that's a new feature. So I'm in keys. So let me select keyboard. So we have y'all get the idea on how to assign presets, right? We got that? That's cool. So how many of y'all know about proper gain staging?
I got an idea, but I'd love you to.
There's a lot. Okay, so there's a lot of different thoughts on this. Am I wrong?
As individuals, the people running it.
Right. So no, I mean, in an analog console that would be true, but with the digital you don't have to. Basically, you want to turn it up to where it starts. Turn up your gain to where it sounds good with the room. Turn your fader at unity. Turn your master at -5, right? And then your preamp is all the way to the left right here. Y'all see that on this encoder? So let's just pretend we have audio going in there. And we've got 60 decibels of boost. So let's put it at 45. But the way I would do it is I would have this fader at unity, and I would turn it up to where it sounds good to the room, to where it sounds full. Use your ears. A lot of people use, meters are great, but there's something to be said about using your ears. And there's tons of different ways to do this. And you don't want to be the guy that mixes from gains. Gain is your foundation, and everything else follows beyond that. So just think about that. And you don't want to be the guy, and I've seen this. I've seen guys in church that are not using faders, they're mixing with gains. Now, most of the time you want to just set your gains and roll. But there are times when you want to attenuate a little bit. Like when you're doing a sound check and the vocalist is singing by themselves, they're not singing as if they're singing with a band, right? And so a thing that I like to do is to get the singer to sing with the band, actually check with everything rolling, so that he or she is actually singing as if she would be for real. Because the type, it's like check, 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 check. And then the band starts and it's like, whoa. So there are times when you want to attenuate. And then, a singer, they get more confident throughout the night. Their vocals start to warm up. You may have to back off the gain a little bit because they may be clipping. So that's something to think about. But yeah, there's a lot of different, I read 20 different articles on gain the other night just because I was like, oh my gosh. But it is the most important thing. You know, the idea is to get it as good sounding as possible on the front end so that you don't have to EQ a whole bunch and that you don't have to compress a whole bunch. Like get it sounding good right out the gate and get a nice full sound. Use your ear. Find where it starts to clip and back it off. You know? Make sense? All right. So,
Question quick. Does
yes.
this thing also have digital trim with it too? For instance, my Mackie has the gain plus a digital trim to, you say you EQ up and you bring the trim back while you're leaving the gain structure intact.
Are you talking about makeup gain?
I don't know what you call it on that, it's just they call it trim on my board. And basically what it does is you set up your gain, so it does what it does, and you jack, like you're jacking up the EQ, and instead of messing with your gain and bring your gain structure down even further, you go to the digital trim and bring it back.
Well, there is 15 boosts of gain in the EQ.
Right, but this is different.
We'll have to look at that later when we finish up. We'll come pop by and we'll.
I will shut up.
No. You know, keep it rolling, man. This is we're having a conversation here. You know, I want to learn from y'all. So we know where the gain is, right? So let's pull up a compressor. So let's go to channel 1 and then hit compressor. And by the way, I know that the compressor is on by this processor button being on. It says on and off, or I can turn it on and off over here, right? So, get me out of here. So yeah, I can turn my compressor on here. You see that? And by the way, I can adjust these parameters. I can either adjust them up here in my encoders on the fat channel, and I've got some buttons I can turn on if I want to turn on my auto compressor, you know, if I want to turn it on soft or keyless or any of that. But I can also adjust it over here. I can go to touchscreen. I'm going to touch the parameter and adjust it with this encoder. So it depends on how I want to work. I can adjust over here. So when I hit select, this becomes my fat channel, right? So I showed y'all about the plugins, right? So I've got a standard compressor here, but let's select a different one. So I just hit that arrow up there, and I select tube, right? So that's a different compressor. So for every channel, I got 3 different compressors. That's the tube compressor, and again, I can adjust it over here on the encoder, or I can adjust it up here, right? But then I also have an old school FET compressor, which if y'all are recording folks, y'all probably have a good idea what this is. But check it out. For every channel, I have 3 different compressors to choose from, but I can actually toggle back and forth between 2 of them. This little fat channel AB EQ dynamics button right here, I can actually have 2 completely different compressors and EQs for every channel. So I just hit AB, so turn it on, and then let's select a different one. So let's go to the standard one. So, and same with my EQ, right? So I can toggle. So what would be an application for that? I have a male vocalist all night, and then a female gets up to sing a few songs on that mic. Instead of me having to change the whole scene, I can just toggle between 2 different settings. And I don't have to toggle between the 2 different models. I can just have a completely different standard compression setting or EQ setting for that. It just saves me from having to change the whole scene. But for every scene that you have on the board, which by the way, you have 99 scenes that you can save on this console. And that's full recallability. Recalls faders, recalls gains, recalls everything. But I can turn that off. Like if I want to, let's go to the scene real quick. So if we hit scenes, you'll see, so I can go save this as a scene. So you just go to empty location, and then you go up here, let's hit store, and it'll bring up my ability to name the scene, right? So you just hit recall or store, and it stores it. So now you got your scene. But check it out. You see this to the right? I can say in a scene, okay, I want to save the EQ and dynamics, but I don't want to save the names of the channels, or I don't want to save the preamps, or I have a lot of flexibility in what I want to save in that scene. Make sense? But for every scene, I can have 2 completely different dynamic settings that I can toggle back and forth from. So that's a pretty useful thing. It's really useful, like especially with these plugins in a sound check environment. I can say, okay, well, I got my 4-band EQ, right? And that's my setting on it, but I want to see, okay, what is really about, what's cool about this passive EQ? So I could just toggle back and forth, like, okay, and it does it in real time. It just changes, completely switches over, no latency or anything like that. So it really allows me to be able to, you know, that's cool, right? That's a useful thing. And then you'll notice too that I have EQ compressor. I can change the order of whether I want my compressor first or my EQ first. So that would be for like recording. If I'm recording, I typically want to switch which one is first. Pretty cool. Y'all got any questions?
The plugins on the fat channel, that's series 3 only, right? That's
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because we have the DSP to do that. Yes, sir. And we're adding more. We're going to come out with new bundles. There's going to be 3 bundles, or you can buy them all together for $500, or each bundle's like 3 different plugins, and I can use them in Studio One and I can use them on the console. And here's the cool thing: I don't have to eat up any of what's here. I can just add. So it's not as if I go and get this plugin and have to subtract this. I could just have like 6 different EQs to choose from, which that's really cool. What's up?
I know there's a Bluetooth button on here. You can Bluetooth tape in.
Bruh, hit the Bluetooth button. Pair your phone with it. Have fun. Have fun.
So you don't have to run the line into it. You can just Bluetooth in, and then it'll come up on your tape.
Yeah. So look, you hit Bluetooth, right? Hit edit, and it's on your tape input. So I want to go to aux inputs right here, right? And it's going to be, you'll notice when I adjust this tape in that moves with it, right?
Yeah.
And it's 4.1. I've actually tested it with an 1/8" cable and Bluetooth, and it sounds great. It's Bluetooth, but it frees up a channel, but it's not bad. If you're playing high res files, even better. So let's okay, we kind of went into the fat channel pretty deep there. When you say one thing I did want to show you is you have a user layer in the fat channel. So let's hit that real quick because we got to make haste. We got about 30 minutes. I want to get y'all mixing here a little bit. So the user layer, you hit this user layer right here up top, right, this green button, and then I've got these encoders that I can map to be whatever I want. So you can assign them as like a gate threshold, gate attack, a mix, and then these buttons you can assign as mutes and stuff like that. So what that means is that'll just be global, right? So if I'm in that user layer, that's always going to be my gate threshold, or it'll always be my preamp. So I basically can customize this to be what I want. If I don't need to go to my compressor and adjust every parameter, I can just put the ones that I actually do adjust. Or you see what I'm saying? So that's cool. And what's cool is once we have the DAW layer, the ability to control Studio One with that and other software, I'll actually be able to map that to certain parameters in my plugins. So it allows for a lot more customization. It's really cool. Any questions? We've got about 30 minutes. Let's figure out how to do a mix, an ear mix. All right. So let's bring all your faders up while you're in main mix input, just so we can see how snappy the faders are, right? So bring them all up, and then let's go to mix 1. So mix 1, everyone there? You see that I have compression limiter in GQ. It's probably not assigned because we need to assign it. So I can name this whatever I want. I just go to the gear. I can name it Billy's Mix or whatever. I just select the channel name, right? Name it whatever I want. But I have these flex mix modes. Remember we talked about that? Everyone in the gear and everyone seeing what I'm seeing? Hit the gear right here, bro. So that's where, by default, they're auxes, which is like an aux mix, an in-ear mix, a wedge mix. But then I have subgroups as well. And then I can also assign it as a matrix. So let's actually go to channel 3. Let's go to channel 3. Mix 3, sorry. Mix 3. Mix 3. And let's make it a matrix mix. So I just want to show you all that the color of the mix output changes. Right? So when you're in that mix layer, guess what? Why did the faders move? Because these then become the SIN levels go into that channel, right? So now I'm in mix mode. I'm in mix 1, and Billy wants some, he wants some of the goods. I want kick in, I want snare, I want, so let's give it to him. Give him some juice. And that's how that works. Makes sense? So I have 16 different mixes, so I can have as many different, I could have 16 different in-ears, wedges.
And those are assignable to each.
Yeah, they're all completely discrete. So I can have 16 completely different in-ear mix, wedge mixes, all that. And I can adjust that from my iPad. I can do that. I can be on stage and hear what they're hearing. So it's like, I can't hear blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm listening to it and I can hear it fine. So I just go here on my iPad, go to mix, whatever, and I'm off to the races.
And these are just in-ears because it's aux right now?
It's an in-ear or it's a wedge. It's a physical output that goes out XLR or quarter inch, because 12 of them are XLR, 4 of them are quarter inch, and then you have 4 subgroups. So that can go out to an in-ear. That can go out to a wedge, and then it's whatever, and you're just sending whatever you want to that output.
And if I want the house, and just go back to
Yeah, if I want to get out of that layer, what do? We hit inputs, main mix. Now I'm back, and I got my board dimed. I'm killing everybody. All right, so effects. We want to know how to. Doesn't someone want some reverb in their life? Doesn't someone want some delay? Well, hit effects A. And I can assign all 4 of these effects however I want. So hit effects A over here, and then guess what? These then become the send levels of what's going to that channel. So I probably don't want reverb on my drums too much, unless I'm an 80s band. Then I want a lot. So let's go to lead vocals, and let's select channel 11. And I probably want to hook him up with some reverb, right? But let's go to effects B. I don't want just reverb. I want some delay in my life. So I have. Did everyone hit effects B? And then you go up to the touch screen up here, and you change what it is. So you hit this button, and then you say I want a mono delay. And then again, I can adjust it from this encoder, or I can adjust it over here. And I can even say I want to be able to tap tempo it. So if you hit tap assign, that means that I can assign tap tempo to that. And I can just tap the delay time, but only when that tap assign is engaged. All right, y'all got effects pretty good? Huh?
How did you get to effects?
Effects A?
Oh, down here.
Effects A, right here. I'm sorry, you're like standing behind me, and it's just so I have, these are like my different presets, and then I have different delay types right here, right? And by the way, for those of you that were using AI mixers and all that, one of the things we did do is improve the sound of the effects, number 1. And 2, in the AI platform, it was fixed. 2 reverbs, 2 delays. I can now assign them however I want. I can have 4 delays, 4 reverbs. And by the way, we're adding modulation. We're adding chorus and flange and stuff like that. So why do we update our firmware? Because we get free stuff. And we get cooler stuff.
You guys planning on setting up a multi-effect channel where they're all in one channel? You know what I mean? Instead of piling it up, we need to have something all in one effect mix. I mean, I got this old.
Well, I mean, you have your effects returns and you have effects mix
Right, I'm just
masters.
saying, like, I got this old Boss half rack that it has delay, reverb,
Uh-huh.
it's all in one preset. And you just the parameters.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's all. That's
I see what
okay
you're saying.
with my Mac.
Well, you have 4 effects processors that you could just apply reverb and delay to that channel.
Oh, yeah, I'm just,
Oh, all in one?
you know, it's like my stupid little Mac.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. All right, so we gotta move quickly. I'm sorry, because 20 minutes and I want to get in the next 5. So one thing I do want to show y'all is this user layer. Right, hit this over here, right in the left bank. Let's select a channel, right, and then you see up here that I can assign that channel to be whatever I want. It could be a mix output, and just use this button, right? It could be a mix output, it could be a DCA, it could be any of that stuff. So I can have my user layer and I just have my custom layer. Y'all understand that? That's really compelling. And the eventuality is that you're gonna have user profiles. so that when Billy walks up to the board, he's like, okay, Billy's up in the mix. Here's what his console looks like. That's what we're working toward. Y'all got it?
Yeah, he's just wondering.
I'm not getting that.
So I can, on the user layer, I can just say that, okay, I don't need all 32 channels. I just want to put like my channels that I'm always writing, right? Or maybe I want a mix output there. Maybe I want an aux mix because the dude is deaf that is listening to it, and I'm always having to turn him up or turn him down depending on the song. So I can just, but again, if you get lost in the user layer, you just hit inputs and you're back. All right, so DCA groups. I want to cover this. This is important. DCAs. Go to the bank right here, above the user function buttons. So DCAs, we talked about those. That's when you can group channels together. Like, okay, so go to the master control right here, and there's also a DCA group button. What is that? Select auto groups. Touch auto groups on the touch screen. You will notice that some things showed up. Do y'all notice that? That is because I used that labeling system, it put all the drums together. It put all the vocals together. It put my keyboards together. It put my guitars together. So I can create a DCA however I want though. I can just go to this plus button and I can select it right here on the screen, or I can select it on the channel. It's whatever I want to do. But let's just focus on the ones that were made automatically. So go to DCA groups. I'm going to hit done. Get out of there. Right? And let's just for the sake of, hit main mix input. And like, let's make sure your faders are up and stuff. Somewhat. This is just for the sake of visual. Now select your DCAs. Right? So you see I have a DCA. I have a drum DCA right here, right? When I go to turn it up, those channels turn up relatively.
That's so cool.
You see that? There's a lot of consoles that have a few DCAs and the channels don't actually turn up. So that's a cool thing. So I see, but let's say I go to turn up my drums. So this is cool. This is what I was telling you about earlier. Let's say I go to turn up my drums and something is too loud. Well, instead of me having to go dig for it, I just select the DCA. So select your drum DCA, right? And it spills out the channels over here that are associated with that DCA. So I go and turn something up or turn something down. I hit select again. I'm mixing from these. So I have 24 of those. That's powerful. That is easy. That is easy life. So, be thinking about that. And again, if I get lost in the weeds, split workflow, mixing in DCAs, you can always tell, just go back to mix inputs, and there's all your inputs. So, honestly, y'all, I could go into this like way further. And if there's any questions, let me know. Oh, user functions, I want y'all to know about this. So go to your home button right here. Hit home. And then hit system right here to the left. Right? The little gear. And hit user buttons in the top right. All right, so these user buttons by default are mute groups. So I have 8 mute groups by default. But if you select one of them, hit edit, any of them, it pulls up a menu, and I can assign these buttons to be a tap tempo for my effects. I have a tap tempo right here, but I could just map that to be, okay, that is tap tempo A. I know I always have a delay on effects A. That is my tap tempo. It's right here. But I can also put my favorite scenes there. My 8 favorite scenes. A lot of people don't, unless you're a theater application, most bands don't exceed 8 scenes. Bands that are playing on a 32-channel mixer, how about that? They don't exceed 8 scenes. So I can have my favorite 8 scenes here. I can also have scene navigation. So if I am in a theater application, I can have 2 buttons that go previous scene, next scene, and I can just toggle back and forth. Because in a theater situation, it's like everything needs to go dead, everything needs to come up, and it needs to be snappy and quick. And you don't necessarily want to go into, the scene to select it, even though it's real quick, and you just hit recall. But I can have them right here on the surface. And that's a cool thing. So the name of the game is customization, easy use. All right, so I forgot my SD card, but I didn't forget y'all's. So what do y'all say? Y'all want to mix? So everyone, let's zero out our board. So let's go to scenes and go to the first one is zero out reset, right? Hit that and hit recall, and it's going to zero you out. And we're starting from scratch. Bye-bye. We saved the scene, or we should have, but now we're back to 0, okay? So check it out. Let's go into our SD card situation up here where it says soundcheck edit and hit soundcheck. And mine doesn't show anything. It's blacked out, but you should see something that says load session. Does everybody see that? Everyone see load session? I want y'all to select sweet friend because y'all are my sweet friends.
We love you too, man.
So hit recall. Hit recall on that. Everyone's there? Everyone's got a sweet friend? Everyone's got a sweet friend? All right, so it should be selected all digital source, right? So if it's not, select all digital source because that's going to do, what that's going to do, this is a 32 channel session, it's going to have all the, see how that changed your input section? Now instead of having analog inputs or network inputs over stage box, you're having SD card inputs. So these become the returns, SD card returns. So all digital source, we selected that, right? All digital source, we're good? Okay, so just so y'all know, we're good, we're good. It's coming out, what is happening here is it's coming out of the monitor outs into your HP4. So your monitor out volume is actually right here, right? Right here, for those that can't see it. Your monitor out volume is right here. And it should already be turned up and ready to roll. So put your cans on, let's blast off. And we hit play. So hit play. Oh, I forgot to tell you how to do something. I'm sorry. Hold up. Go back to soundcheck. Go back to soundcheck. And then go to edit. Hit save and close. Save and close out of that. Load mix, you're good. Hit load mix. I just wanted y'all to select load mix. All that's going to do is it's going to load. It's going to load the scribble strips. So load session, load mix, hit recall. Load mix, hit recall. Right? So that's actually going to bring up the scribble strips and everything. Y'all got it? So load session, load mix, and hit recall. And that's, I'm a dummy. Hold up, we'll try it again. I'm going to get it right. Save and close. Load session. Hey, he's got it. Recall. Hit. And hit play. Oh, well.
Soundcheck, hit recall. It's because I started playing.
Oh, okay, hold up. It's all good. It's all good. Watch this. So y'all got audio?
Yeah.
Y'all got audio?
Yep.
So bring up your faders and just go through and hit select and let's get in the fat channel. Select EQ. Let's start EQing it. Y'all, EQ some stuff, compress some stuff.
I'm not getting any audio here on that, so I don't know if we need to.
You got all digital source.
Oh, all digital source.
Oh.
Boom. How you doing? Good? Cool. Let's EQ a kick, huh? Let's see, it's labeled for y'all. Panned and everything. So select, you just go to EQ right here, right? So this is your volumes.
Yep.
And then you select EQ, and then just start messing with it to where it sounds good. How's it going, brother?
I think it's rebooted. Yeah, it's just starting a guitar riff.
Okay, so let's bring up your faders now.
Oh, okay, so you're mixing. Yeah.
And if you're on a 24-channel console, page over to get all your other inputs, right? Make sense?
So how often do you have the updates?
Well, seemingly we've had monthly updates.
I don't use the internet, so I'd have to bring the board in to have it updated then.
Yeah. But it's also dependent on what is it about the new update? We have release notes, and what is it about the new update that you want, You know, or you might be having a bug or an issue or something like that we've squashed out.
I turned off the internet 10 years ago. I don't use it anymore.
Right.
Spy phones and stuff I don't use.
Right on.
That's super cool.
That's cool, huh? So look, you know, get into some other stuff. Get into a vocal and put a different EQ on it. Put it. Let's check out a vintage.
So I see some of these are linked. How do you actually link them?
There is a link button right there,
Oh,
and you can see that they're
the
linked.
button that just says link. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of guitar bleed through in the kick drum. That's pretty weird.
Well, let's
Good word.
you know,
Why can't you
they didn't use a gate.
Right.
Shame on them. How you not going to use a gate on your drum set? That's like what you do.
I was wondering where the guitar players stand to pick that up.
Yeah.
Because usually that's pretty tight.
Yeah. But get in
I
and
just always try to find problems like that. When
Yeah.
Mixing live. You know,
Yeah,
when
no,
something's,
that's-
isolating it to us.
that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, mixing isn't so much my thing. Because I just, I usually do live mixes. But
How we doing?
Next.
How we doing?
We're figuring it out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I see y'all have it all muted.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he was
I
trying
just wanted to see what the
just
effects would be on the piano and stuff.
You want to add effects to the piano?
Yeah.
All right, so we're selected here. So we don't need to
Now he's in EQ, but
yeah, let's recall. All right. So you want to go to effect, right?
Yeah.
So let's go effect.
Okay.
And then what do you want? Is something coming up?
The piano.
the track ended. So, yeah.
Oh, so yeah, rewind it.
Yeah, how do you rewind to the beginning?
Let's go back. And hit play.
What did he do? He hit edit first and then
Back to soundcheck and hit edit. And it already rewound. You could just hit rewind and it would, but this just gives you a visual representation. Is the track over yet? So y'all know how to rewind it? Hit this.
Oh, well, that's easy.
And it should just start right back up. But we can look at it visually. No. We rewound it and hit play. Yes, sir. Okay. How we doing, folks? How we doing?
Good, yeah, awesome.
Y'all feel like y'all have a handle on how to apply compression and EQ and stuff like that? You just select the channel, you select compressor.
So does this have presets like the Studio One does?
Yeah,
Female vocalist one, female vocalist
yeah, I
two?
talked about that earlier, but
Yeah.
you know, you select it,
Yeah.
you go to this gear right here. Oh, I'm sorry, no, you select it, you go to the EQ, and then there's your presets, right? And
Okay,
then
yeah.
I can change the category. What did I select? I select a clap. It's probably the worst thing for a preset. So let's go to a synthesizer. So let's go to the presets, and then I can filter. So it's just going to pull up all, which this is new,
Yeah.
and then I can just filter whether it's keyboards or not.
Okay, sure.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So then I just hit recall. You know, I'm piano bright. Let's just hit recall, and then it
But
gives
this
me.
isn't connecting to Studio One yet. That's something that's coming.
Well, you can record in the Studio One. You can use
Or
it.
I can
You
take
can use it as an
Studio One,
interface,
put it
but
in
you
for
will
this
be able to
to-
control Studio One with
Right,
it
okay.
in a month. November 20th is what we're shooting for. How we doing?
Good.
Does any, you got any questions?
I think we're kind of figuring it out here.
Yeah.
This would be something I would need for at least a month to start playing. Still
Sure. No, man. Here's the thing about our consoles. We make them really easy to use, but you can dig really, really deep.
the question I got.
Yes, sir.
Say like I was a pilot. So you guys got like instructional videos how to do this.
We have tons of instructional videos. We have 2 video guys that just crank out content.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of stuff you buy, it's like there's
We
nothing to teach you.
we did an hour-long webinar. Yeah, we have webinars. We have how-tos on different features on the console and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And we have an extensive knowledge base on our website where you just go and there's all kind of like, hey,
I was looking to buy like just a little digital interface for this next show that
Right.
I'm doing, just so I could record it live. And it's just, if I had one of these, that SD card, I think
It's cool, man.
it's really cool. And will it support any gigabyte SD card I throw in?
It's 32 gig.
That's all.
SDHC is
Like if I put a 64
S,
gig in Word,
SDHC, which is SDHC. The cap is 32 gigs.
would there be a way, like say in the future, say you guys figure out a way to get more, like 64 gigs of that, would they have to swap that out? Then,
No,
or would they
but
just
because
upgrade the firmware?
no, it supports SDHC. When we were coming out with this technology, that was the best thing available when we started to develop it, and then midstream.
In the future, do you think they'll patch it?
We would have another console actually. We would just make another console with that technology. But it's 34 channels, an hour and 45 minutes, and I don't have to record all 34 channels. I could just record 12, and obviously I get more than an hour and 45 minutes. So the you know, if you're exceeding an hour and 45 of music time, yeah. How you feeling?
Good. I like this layout better than it's a card that's used on video camera.
Yeah,
Digital,
right.
So I have no real.
It's easy.
This is a little nicer because you don't have as many, you know, that's a I do miss the LED color.
Yeah.
You don't really get the groups until you select them.
Yeah.
That's what my questions are, like capability.
So, what's that? Yeah, I'm about to shut it down. Hey, y'all. We're actually about to shut this down. But one thing I did want to touch on was with the wireless devices, and I just wanted you guys to get to know the mixer today. I can do everything on the mixer with the exception of like user buttons and stuff like that. The user buttons, I can do everything from this, and I can do it from an iOS device. I can have my computer hooked up. I can do it from Android. And I can actually set permissions on that iPad. So if I give someone front of house control, they can control the whole mixer. But we took it a step further with this series, and I can actually say, okay, you have control of all of the faders, but you can't rename my channels. You can't mess with my compressor. You can't mess with my gain stage. You can't, and on down the line. So, and that's important because I can do everything on this console right here with this rack mixer, and it's a 2 rack. So if I'm comfortable with mixing from an iPad, and I can, by the way, I can have 20 devices, wireless devices on the network. So, and I can set permissions. I can lock someone to just an aux, where they're only messing with their aux output, and they can, and now all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about the guy that's never happy with his in-ear mix. He can adjust it.
So on that one,
And I can adjust it from my phone. Yeah. Except for SD card multi-track recording, it's only a 2-track, but I can multi-track record over USB or Cat5 AVB. So, thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming, and let's give it up for our trainer today, Mr. John McAndrews. The other thing, I just want to take a quick moment and thanks the folks at Full Compass and congratulate on the 40th anniversary. Let's give it up for Full Compass. Who likes free stuff? All right, let's give away some studio monitors.
Not shabby stuff.
So we have our new Aris 3.5 studio monitors. They have a special deal on these today too, but let's give away a pair for free. Okay.
All right. Are we all in the bucket?
Oh, if anybody pre-registered, you're in the bucket.
All right. And the winner is Scott Yarborough.
Where you?
Registered, but he didn't come.
If you're not here, you.
Okay.
Throw 'em out.
Ruling. I think you have to be present, right? Okay. All right. Let's go to the second one here. And the winner is.
I don't think.
No, I don't think there's a Melissa here. Okay.
Let me try.
Johnny, go ahead.
If it starts with Johnny, it doesn't count.
Is there Ernest Burton in the room?
Right bucket.
Bucket.
Is there a Rick Hauser?
Yes!
Hey!
There you go, sir. And we'll be around all day long. There's we have a table out there, and I want to thank everybody again for coming.
Hey, no one leave empty-handed. I have USB jump drives, mouse pads. If you didn't get a USB jump drive, they're 8 gigs. Oh. So, $24.99 for the 24, $19.99 for the 16 channel, $29.99. But these mixers that are in this class, they've been taken out of the box. They've been put on this table. You've